Hey guys, so I was just doing a little bit of some homework for my Native American Sharing Our Cultures class, and I wanted to share this little story with you. So this week we are studying legends and folklore, and so our one discussion board assignment was um, to find basically legends from other tribes other than our own, and to share like the moral of the story and what the story was. So basically, I found one that was from the Oneida Nation, which I thought was really interesting. And it is How the Bear Lost His Tail. And there is actually videos on YouTube about this, and that's actually where I found it because we were supposed to research, um, like I said, legends from other tribes and share them with the class. And so um, my one classmate had shared something from a Navajo legend. And so I decided to look through some maybe not as well known tribes. And so, like I said, I found one through the Oneida Nation. And basically, the like I said, the story is called How the Bear Lost His Tail. And so I want to share the story with you guys and share the moral of the story with you guys. And like I said, you are able to look these up on YouTube and kind of find their own recorded history and stuff like that. Um, and other legends as well, if you are curious in researching some more. But so basically, this was a bear who had a long, bushy tail and would go about bragging to all of the other animals around him about how beautiful his tail was and how bushy it was and how, great this long, bushy tail that he had was. And so there was a fox that wanted to trick the bear. And basically, this fox cut a hole in the ice on a lake and put a bunch of fish outside or next to this hole. And so basically, um, once he put the fish by the hole, the bear wanted to learn how to fish. And so he asked the fox if he could help him learn how to fish. So this is basically just what the fox wanted him to do because he wanted to trick him. So, with all of this, the fox told the bear that what he needed to do was stick his tail into the hole in the ice and just stay as still as he could. And basically, the bear sat there with his tail in the hole for hours and hours, and eventually he fell asleep. And what happened was the fox left and went home, came back the next morning, and like it had snowed overnight, and the bear was still sitting there with his tail in the hole in the ice, and he was covered in snow. So it was basically just a mound of snow on top of this ice. And basically, what happened was after some time, the fox went away again and then came back and screamed really loud at the bear that this is the time, pull your tail out of the hole. And so when the bear tried to pull his tail out of the hole, he was pulling and pulling as hard as he could, and eventually he heard a loud snap. And so what he thought was, he thought he had caught a bunch of fish and was pulling these fish up out of this frozen hole in the water. And what actually happened was he snapped his tail off doing that. And so, he didn't catch any fish, but the fox did trick him out of losing his beautiful, long, bushy tail into this frozen hole in the lake. And so basically, the moral of the story is that well, that wasn't the end of the story. He basically left to go into the woods, and you could hear him groaning at times. And basically, he still doesn't like foxes to this day because of what happened. And so, the moral of the story is basically not to be boastful about the things that you have or about your looks or anything like that. So, yeah, that is really the story. I know it's not super long, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I think that it is a lesson that we all could learn from. So, don't be boastful about the things that you have. Don't brag about your looks and all of those things. And just, live your life being humble and not boastful or bragging. So, anyways, if you guys would like to hear more of these legends, I would love to share. Obviously, the Oneida Nation is not my tribe. I am a citizen of the Little Traverse Bay bands of Odawa Indians in the lower peninsula of Michigan. But I would love to share different stories that I find, different legends, if that is something that you guys would be interested in. So just let me know. And yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you in tomorrow's video.